Recently, I've been rearranging my room a bit, and it's caused me to take a really good look at my video game collection. And I started to think, why don't I make a video about it? I even have somewhat of a script written up just because I really wanted to talk about the games I've collected throughout the years. But I decided to kind of shift topics because one, my video game collection isn't really amazing, and I don't know, I'll talk about it eventually probably, but it's nothing too notable. And two, there have been some things that have happened that maybe you want to think differently about what video I want to make. So I'm pretty sure Target confirmed that they're going to start phasing out physical media like DVDs and stuff by 2025. They should stop selling all that stuff. Not video games though, just DVDs and Blu-Rays and all that stuff. And we've seen this before. Best Buy started doing this, I believe, at the beginning of this year. They announced it last year that they were going to stop selling physical media like DVDs and Blu-Rays and all that stuff. But again, not video games. Considering I very much grew up with physical media, it feels weird to see that it's starting to become an end of an era where just the digital life has really just consumed our lives. But to stay on topic, all this made me think, will physical video games become a thing of the past? There's a huge part of me that says, possibly. I really don't know. Considering that in stores like Best Buy and Target, they're still going to be sold even though all this other disc-based stuff is being phased out. It does say a lot, but again, we do basically everything digital now. Like, you talk about watching television, most people these days are talking about watching it through either a streaming service or a service that has live TV, but it's through, you have to stream it online, like YouTube TV. Games these days are easily available through digital ways. Just look at all the different digital stores that you can use through Xbox and Sony and Nintendo, and that is just console games, or that's just consoles. That's not even to mention like the Epic Game Store, Steam being the biggest one, Apple Arcade, and like the list goes on. It's just way more convenient now. You can get really good deals through some of these suppliers. In a lot of ways, it makes sense that digital video games are kind of a major thing now. But of course, physical video games are still around, and they're still selling physical video games, especially for people like me who really values having a game in their hand and just building a physical collection. Especially considering I grew up very poor and I didn't have a lot of games until getting into college at all. So it does mean a lot to me whenever I'm able to have a game physically and just have it right there. But of course, not everyone's like me, and they just want to have their games digitally. My older sister, for example, doesn't own a single physical game, but she owns several games on her Switch that she's had for a few years. Everyone's different, so it really depends on what you value when it comes to buying games. So it's really hard to say if physical games are going to die out or not, because I feel like there's always going to be a need for them. But I guess when it comes to selling them outright from a store at retail price, I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I feel like they will eventually, I feel like one company will eventually make the big shift into not doing it at all. Probably Xbox, probably. But is that always a bad thing to say, oh, no more physical media? I do love physical media, and I really love having a video game collection, especially after barely having a collection in high school, like I was mentioning before. But having a physical video game doesn't always mean that like it's going to be all positive from here on out. Like just recently, well, not recently, like months and months ago, I tried to boot up Smash Bros for 3DS. It's the same copy that I've owned since 2015. I love the game to death. I have over 300 hours on the game. I tried to boot it up on my 3DS one day, and it just didn't work. And I didn't know what was going on. I tried cleaning it with some alcohol. I didn't blow on the thing. I'm not an idiot. I was tempted to, but I didn't want to do any more damage. But the point is, I tried to fix it and it didn't work. And if I had the game digitally, then that wouldn't have happened. And yeah, that's the thing with physical media. It can be rendered completely useless. Well, not in every case, because with some systems, or with some games, depending on the system and the form factor, you have the save data still, so you can get another copy of the game and you're good. But in this case, with my copy of Smash 3DS, if I don't get this thing fixed, then I'm kind of out of luck because all of my save data was on the cartridge. That whole incident made me think, should I start focusing on digital games from now on? It's faster than going to a store. Sometimes you can get a good deal. 9 times out of 10, the game won't break on you. So maybe it's a more convenient way. Well, on the other hand, having digital games isn't always perfect as well. For one thing, you don't physically own the game. There are some games that are tied to a service like Xbox Game Pass or whatever the PlayStation one is, I forget off the top of my head. If you don't have that active or you don't have a good internet connection or internet connection at all, then you can't use those in comparison to the physical games which you can just boot up right away. My point is there are pros and cons to having both physical media and digital media, and it's kind of hard to say which is better. What I prefer is still physical. I think at the end of the day, I still prefer physical. I still really want to build a collection just for myself, and I think the cons of having physical media outweigh the pros, even though, yes, especially for all my Switch games, they're eventually some of them are not going to work just because of age and stuff, but I don't really mind all that much, and probably there'll be an easy way to back data up, especially with these newer systems. There's easy ways to back data up. With the older systems, like with my DS games, not so much, but still, that's not to say I don't like digital games at all. I honestly have a number of digital games, but I think I would overall prefer physical games just because, I don't know, that's just how I roll. And if there's people out there that think like me, then I think physical games will never truly disappear, while they'll probably stop being sold by normal retailers like Target, Walmart. I don't even know if GameStop will exist. That's a whole nother story, but the need for a physical game will always be there, regardless. So I guess only time will tell what really happens. But yeah, I've rambled on for way too long, so yeah, that's all I got. Later.